Voldemort attacking the Potters in Godric's Hollow. Walter seeing wizards on the street. Wizards celebrating Voldemort's fall everywhere. Harry struggling at the Muggle school. And Hermione receiving her Hogwarts letter and being visited by a professor. These are just some of the moments confirmed in the Harry Potter series that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Hey there, wizards. How's it going? The last few weeks have been pretty busy, right? We had a teaser for the Harry Potter series, a documentary about the Harry Potter series. But before that, we also had some leaks of scenes being filmed that we know will be in the series. And I took a little bit from each of these things to talk about the moments I'm most excited to see in the Harry Potter series, from everything that's already been confirmed. To be honest, I'm more excited to see things I've never seen adapted before, and also things that aren't shown in the book, things that we know happen in the story, but aren't shown. And we're going to have a lot of that in the series. So those are the moments I'm most excited about. The first moment I'm dying to see, that I really want to see how it's going to be, how it was built, is Voldemort going to Godric's Hollow to kill the Potters, to attack Harry, where Voldemort meets his downfall.
We already know that these scenes were filmed because there was a leak at the location where they prepared and turned it into Godric's Hollow for the series.
There's a Halloween poster, right? Indicating that it was Halloween of 1981, which is when Voldemort attacks the Potters. There's a photo there of all the kids dressed up for Halloween, and we know, in Deathly Hallows, right, we have a passage that shows Harry remembering of the day Voldemort fell when he went to attack the Potters, when he went to kill the Potters and attack Harry, right? We have a passage there that describes exactly how the kids were on Halloween. Everything decorated, the kids out on the street. There's even a kid who talks to Voldemort and compliments his costume, having no idea that he was a real wizard. I don't know if they're going to show that.
By the way, I don't even know if this scene is going to be a flashback where Hagrid is telling Harry the story of the Potters, or if this scene is going to be shown to the audience right at the beginning of the series.
Honestly, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this scene, to seeing this moment happen.
I think it's going to be really amazing for us to see this from a different perspective than what is shown in the book itself.
Because we already know the story of Harry Potter, right? Most people already know it. Of course, there will be people watching the series who have never had any contact with Harry Potter.
And I think they will definitely be careful so that this kind of audience isn't left out.
But it's going to be really cool for us to see things from this other angle, you know? From this other perspective. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this scene. It's one of the ones I'm most excited about. That's why it's on this list. Another moment that we have totally confirmed in the series is Vernon going to work on his very normal day and getting the first signs that something strange was happening that day when he sees people wearing strange clothes, and then he goes to work. And then at lunchtime, he goes to the bakery across from Grunning's, which was the company he worked at, and he ends up bumping into a really weird person with strange clothes, all dressed in purple, with a top hat. We can assume that this is Daedalus Diggle, who tells Vernon to cheer up, that even a Muggle like him should be happy, because you-know-who had disappeared. I'm crazy anxious to see this scene happen. We've already seen some snippets from behind the scenes of this scene, right? Vernon there in photos, but also video, right? Daedalus Diggle, the supposed Daedalus Diggle, falling backwards. We saw scenes of the wizards dancing in front of Vernon's car, and he was getting really impatient with it. So, man, I'm really excited to see this moment in the series, because it's how the book really starts, right? The book starts by saying that the Dursleys were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. And then, Vernon picks the most boring tie and goes to work. He sees a cat. He thinks he sees a cat reading a map, reading a sign. That's McGonagall in disguise. So, we're going to have all of that. It's confirmed. We're going to have all of that. We have a scene of Vernon going to work. Those behind-the-scenes shots, right? We don't have the finished scene, but we've only seen behind the scenes. But it already gives us a little taste, and I'm really, really anxious to see that whole moment there. Him with his back to the window. In the morning, the owl's flying, and he doesn't see it. I don't know if it's going to be like that in the series, right? But I'm almost sure it will be.
So that's something that goes on my list here, of things I'm really looking forward to. Another moment that we already know will be in the series, because it showed up in the teaser.
Which is Harry suffering a lot at the hands of the Dursleys. People even joked, right? That wow, Kako is happy he's going to see Harry suffering, but I really am. Not because of his suffering, but so we can see how bad the Dursleys really were, right? Very bad people.
Because a lot of people have no idea how bad they really were to Harry, right?
So there are scenes of Harry at the Muggle school, where we saw him running from Dudley and his gang, right? Being cornered in the bathroom. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure that full scene there will give us some amazing moments. They're simply narrated in the book as memories, right? Harry explaining that once, he ended up in the school chimney when he was cornered by Dudley and his friends, and he couldn't explain how it happened. That Petunia cut his hair, leaving only a fringe. He was almost bald, with just a fringe to hide the scar. So all of this showed up in the teaser. We're going to see it there.
Of course, it didn't show Harry ending up in the chimney, but I assume that obviously this is going to happen.
There's no reason to show Harry at the Muggle school without showing these magical manifestations of his, without him knowing how to explain it, getting punished. Actually, I think this sequence of scenes is going to show exactly Harry being cornered in the bathroom. Right after that moment where it shows him running, he managed to escape somehow from Dudley and his friends in the bathroom. He goes outside, and then outside, he gets cornered again. When he thinks he got rid of Dudley and his gang, he gets cornered again. And that's when his magic manifests, and he ends up on the chimney. And then, after that, right, the school calls Walter and Petunia. Petunia goes there to pick up Harry, very angry.
After that, there's the teaser moment where she argues with him while cutting his hair, telling him he was normal and should act like it, and that nothing was special about him.
Because in that moment from the teaser, he's wearing his school uniform when Petunia is cutting his hair. So I think in the series, they're kind of going to fold this in as a form of punishment, right?
I know that the punishment involving his hair, because Walter always told Harry to cut his hair, and they thought he was lying when he went to the barber and came back with his hair almost the same.
But I think they're going to put all of that together in this narrative, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Really, I'm very excited. From the photo of Dudley and his friends, they're all looking in a particular direction. I'm absolutely sure that this scene, this moment, is where Harry ends up apparating, without knowing how, without even knowing what apparition was, without even knowing he was a wizard, up there on the roof, on the chimney, to protect himself, right, to escape the beating he was about to take. So, that period of Harry's life before Hogwarts, right, that's confirmed. We have that confirmed. I still suspect that we might have a few small moments from Harry's childhood, from his early childhood there, right? From that time. I don't think there will be a 10-year time jump like in the book, where Dumbledore leaves him at the door as a baby, and then there's a time jump and he's 10 years old. I think we might get some glimpses of Harry's early childhood living with the Dursleys. I think it would be really interesting if that happened. But this is just speculation here. This episode is for me to talk about things that are confirmed and that I'm excited about. And we have all those school moments confirmed. The bullying, right, from the Muggle school. Anyway, I'm really excited to see that. Honestly, very excited.
Another moment that we also had the privilege of getting access to these leaks, these recordings from the first season that were filmed outdoors.
These scenes shot on location were a treat for us. For the first season, right? We got access to a lot of material before any official content, like teasers or documentaries, and they helped ease our anxiety and satisfy our curiosity to see everything, right? One of those really cool moments we saw was the recording of the scene where Walter, Petunia, Harry, and Dudley arrive at a coast, kind of a little beach there. They can take the boat to the shack on the rock. Walter is holding a package, which turns out to be a rifle, as we learn later in the book. And there's even a picture of him hugging the guy. It's probably the guy who got the boat and the house for them. So, if we have this moment, I also believe that we'll have the moments of them trying to dodge the Hogwarts letters, spending the night at the hotel, and Harry still getting letters at the hotel, and then, as a last resort, going to that shack. So it's confirmed that part where the Dursleys get the shack and the little boat with that weird guy, the one Walter hugs anyway. And again, on the surface level, composition. Now, seeing this, right, knowing that we're going to have this, I really believe we're going to have Harry staying at that hotel in Cockworth,
where he receives the letters anyway, in the same way, and he shares a room with Dudley. I really want to see this. I'm very excited. It's one of the parts I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Now, something really cool that was confirmed, which we don't see happen in the book, but we know it happens. It's Hermione receiving her Hogwarts letter and being visited by a professor from the school. Hermione is a Muggle-born.
Every Muggle-born is visited by a Hogwarts professor or staff member who brings the Hogwarts letter and explains everything about the wizarding world to the child's parents.
Because imagine an 11-year-old getting a letter saying, "Look, you're a witch. Come to this school." It's kind of suspicious, right? So, someone goes there to talk to the parents and explain everything. And we'll see this happening with Hermione.
This was confirmed by Francesca Gardner herself, who is the screenwriter and showrunner.
In fact, it was first confirmed to us who were on the set visit during the conversation we had with the director and producer of the series. And then, this became public when we published. When I say we, I mean the creators who went there, right? Published this content, these materials. In fact, in the documentary, there's a moment where Minerva appears in front of a door with a red cross, which is very likely from that moment with Hermione, from the visit to Hermione's house. And I've suspected from the beginning that it will be Minerva who does this. We don't know who the professor is. That hasn't been mentioned, right? That information wasn't given. We only knew that Hermione would have a scene where she receives the letter, that she would be visited by a professor. But I guess it's Minerva McGonagall. For me, there's no other option but Minerva McGonagall. Especially because of the closeness that Minerva has with Hermione later on, right? Knowing that she was a prodigy student, super smart, super dedicated. I think it makes perfect sense for her to be the professor who makes this visit. And one thing I'm really interested in seeing, since we're going to see Hermione receiving her Hogwarts letter, being visited, why not see a bit of Hermione's life before she finds out she's a witch? Now, this is just speculation, okay? Just speculation. The letter and visit part is confirmed, but the rest is speculation. Why not see a bit of her before she discovers she's a witch? That would be really cool. Actually, in the documentary, there's a moment when the casting directors talk about a line that Arabella had to perform in the audition, where Hermione tells her parents about Harry and Ron. So, most likely we're going to have scenes of Hermione at home later, maybe at Christmas, during the Christmas holidays, or maybe at King's Cross, after coming back from Hogwarts, when the parents are waiting for the students and Hermione is telling them about Harry and Ron. The moment when this line happens, we still don't know, but it could be one of these or maybe another, right? And it's not just Hermione who will receive the Hogwarts letter. Ron will also get his Hogwarts letter. That's going to be shown, because in the photo that was revealed of Ron when the teaser came out, he's clearly at the Burrow, at his house, at his family's home. And we have an interview with the actress who plays Molly, saying that the set she liked the most, the moment she enjoyed the most, was when she entered the Burrow, at the Weasley family's house. So she confirmed that we will have at least some time at the Weasley family's house, at the Burrow. And I really believe it's Ron receiving the letter. Another moment that we will also have, this is confirmed by Lox Pratt and Johnny Flynn, who plays, Lox Pratt plays Draco, and Johnny Flynn plays Lucius. These are scenes with Draco at home. We don't know which ones, we don't know how, we don't know exactly what, but we will get a scene like that with Draco at home. Maybe some conversation between him and his father. Most likely his mother will also appear, right, Narcissa? So we will have that. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'm much more excited to see these things that we don't see happening in the book, but that will be explored in the series. I'm much more excited because, you know, the story of Harry Potter, I already know it from the books, from start to finish. I already know it. These things that we're going to see for the first time, that's what's making me much more excited, you know? And I think they're doing this exactly to expand the story in a way that's faithful to the canon, you know? Not expanding by going off the rails, but expanding in a way that makes sense within what's already there. That's going to be really cool to see. I think it's going to be, they did this maybe to show, like, look, just because we already know the story doesn't mean there won't be new things for us to understand, you know? It makes sense that it happens, but outside of our view. Draco gets his letter from Hogwarts. Draco lives at home with his father and mother. We just don't see it happening, but he lives with them. That happens in the story. Another moment that's totally confirmed is Harry's first meeting with Draco at Madame Malkin's shop in Diagon Alley. In the series documentary, right, there's an image of Madame Malkin's shop there.
almost in full, or at least part of it.
And I don't believe they'd have the whole shop there just for the sake of it. The inside of the shop. I'm not talking about the facade, it's really the interior of the shop that's shown. I don't believe they'd have the shop there where Harry and Draco meet for the first time. Draco had no idea that was Harry Potter. I don't think that shop is there for no reason. I don't think it's just there to fill out the set. Especially since there's an interior set for the shop, you know? So I do think that scene is going to happen, and I'm excited to see that meeting, how it's going to be. In fact, maybe that's when we'll see Lucius Malfoy for the first time.
Because Lucius is confirmed, right? For the first season. He's a character who only appears in the second book and is only mentioned in the first.
But we'll get to see him. The actor has already filmed his scenes. And maybe it'll be at that moment in Diagon Alley. Or maybe at Draco's house, right? We don't know. But maybe it'll be at that moment. I'm excited to see these things. Another moment that's absolutely confirmed that we'll see in the series, both by the production team and by the actual filming leaks.
It's Dumbledore with Nicholas Flamel. Dumbledore investigating the whole mystery behind the attempted theft of the Philosopher's Stone. I'm really excited for that, man.
I'm really excited. I really want to know what's behind Dumbledore's plans. You know? I want to see how all that played out behind the scenes. I want to see how Dumbledore found out. I want to see what Dumbledore did about that attempted robbery at Gringotts. How did Dumbledore know exactly the day and time to empty the vault at Gringotts, so Hagrid could take the stone from there? How did he know that was going to happen on that day? You know? You can be sure we'll see that in the series. And I'm really looking forward to it. I really want to see Dumbledore's more investigative side. I really want to see his relationship with the Flamels there. For sure, we're going to have a moment where Dumbledore convinces Nicholas to destroy the stone. Anyway, I think it's going to be a beautiful scene. It's going to be a really beautiful scene to watch. I'm really looking forward to it.
And once again, it's one of those moments that we know happens in the story, but it's not narrated in the book.
In the book, we only have Dumbledore saying, "Look, I had a conversation with my friend Flamel, and he decided that the most sensible thing is to destroy the stone." That's it.
But the series has a chance to make this a memorable moment. For us to see it on screen. For us to see it happening, you know? That's really cool. That's really cool.
And I'm really excited to see it. Now, the last two topics I picked out here are from a more general perspective of things. I'm excited to get a broader look at everything, which are the Quidditch matches and the classes. Especially the classes. The Quidditch matches, I want to see all of them. I want to see the first match against Slytherin. I want to watch the match against Hufflepuff, which we know is happening. That's the one Snape referees. We've seen in the teaser that Gryffindor and Hufflepuff are in uniform. Snape is back there entering the stadium since he's the one who's going to referee this match. I don't just want to see this match. I want to see this one, but I want to see the others too. And I want to see how Quidditch is going to be filmed, how it's going to be presented. Mark Millard himself said, right, when we did the set visit. And that was something we were allowed to share. The thing he was most excited about was also Quidditch. Because of the way they're going to film it, putting cameras on the broomsticks to show the players' point of view, and also showing the players' faces while they're playing. It's kind of inspired by Formula 1 races, the way Formula 1 races were broadcast in the 90s. And it's got a bit of a sports vibe to it. Man, I'm really looking forward to seeing all of this, seriously. I'm really excited. I love Quidditch. I'm definitely biased when it comes to this, and I'm excited to see this, man. My favorite moments in the books, the ones I really like, are the Quidditch moments. I think it breaks the tension of the story a little, you know? At certain moments, Quidditch takes us away from all the worries. We really brings out our inner fan, at least for me, you know, and I'm excited to see that. I really want to see all the matches in the House League Championship. I want to see all of that, in general, Quidditch, and the classes too, because the classes are often just mentioned, right? For example, the History of Magic class. We've already seen that it's going to be there. We know that. Professor Binns has already been confirmed. He even appears in the teaser. But what's the content of that class, you know? Because the book doesn't say. It just says that, oh, they struggle to stay awake and confused Emmerich the Evil with Uric the Oddball. And that's it, you know? That's it. And it says the classes were really boring. But we might get to see the content of those classes, you know? From the teaser that came out, which shows Professor Binns, there's a castle in the projection. And it looks like there are some foam there, right?
And that matches the historical event in the wizarding world known as the Soap Blizzard. That was something that preceded the burst of the wizarding economic bubble, and that later led to the founding of Gringotts Bank. So I really want to see this content in the classes, you know?
Not just history of magic, but also herbology content. Man, herbology just says they had 3 classes a week, and it doesn't go deeper into the content. Later, at the end, we'll see that Hermione says, "Wow, I saw this in herbology." Sprout talks about Devil's Snare, so maybe the series will show us exactly the Devil's Snare lesson. And Harry and Ron not paying attention in class, having a side conversation, something like that, and Hermione paying attention, and then that ends up saving their skins at the end, you know?
So the content of the classes is something I'm really curious, excited, and anxious to see. We get to see some moments from Transfiguration class, Potions class, right?
In Transfiguration class, they have to turn matchsticks into a needle.
In Potions class, in the first lesson, they have to make a potion to cure boils. Defense against the dark arts is described as a class where they were really disappointed because Quirrell kept dodging and changing the subject whenever they asked him questions.
And we don't even see a single defense against the dark arts class actually happening, you know? So, the series being able to explore that, man, makes me really excited. So, it's confirmed. We've already seen it. The teaser showed the herbology class, the history of magic class. Man, astronomy class? I'm excited to see that. You know, to see the students studying, them going up the astronomy tower to actually see the lesson itself, you know?
Even if it's something simple and quick, but just to give that real school feeling, you know? That feeling of like, Hogwarts is a school.
Look at all the hard work they have to do, you know? See how the subjects are really complex, right? See how they need to pay attention. So, that's what I want to see. We know it will be there since those moments appeared in the teaser, like the classes and everything. If they were just going to show it like it is in the book, just mention it, there wouldn't be a scene actually happening, you know? I really doubt they would do that, build entire sets just to simply show it. So, we're going to have the content and we're going to have those classes, and I'm super excited to see it. Well, out of the things that are already confirmed, that's what I'm most excited to see. Of course, I'm excited to see more things, but we don't have confirmation yet, right? Just hope that it will happen, like Hermione doing the potions challenge there, right? So Harry can get to the Philosopher's Stone, and several other moments, like Harry talking to the centaurs there in the Forbidden Forest, with Ronan saying that Mars is bright. I really want to see those things, I really do. I'm sure it's going to happen, you know? I'm sure it's going to happen and that the series will really explore this first book because it's 8 hours of material, 8 hours, this first season, and the book is relatively short, 17 chapters. There are 8 episodes, you know? So you can tell the whole story, really explore the story, making everything very neat, well tied together, and complete. And just to make us, who are fans of this universe, completely crazy. But tell me, what are you excited to see in the Harry Potter series?
It can be things that have been confirmed, or things that haven't been confirmed yet, but things you really want to see in this first season. Let me know, leave it down here in the comments.
If you like this episode, leave a like, it's really important. Share this episode too, and I'll see you in the next video here on the Leaky Cauldron. See you then. Mischief managed.